Namaskar, मैं हूँ Amitabh Bachchan, and I have the great honor and privilege to introduce to you the ambassador, Mr. Verma of the United States of America. And we are here, ladies and gentlemen, to talk to you about tuberculosis. Perhaps you're not aware that the Honorable Ambassador has taken a lot of interest in initiating this whole campaign of fighting tuberculosis in India. And we've been working together for a very long time towards this cause. There's been great cooperation, not just from the ambassador himself personally, but also his government, the United States of America. And I'm very privileged to be here with him today and to talk not just about tuberculosis, but to also invite questions from any of you that may want to have some kind of answers to some of the problems that you may have. I'll just give you a brief introduction to how we met. I was at a Padma award ceremony in Rashtrapati Bhavan where I was getting the Padma Vibhushan, and after the awards were over, we were taken into another annex where there's always tea and coffee and stuff, and the ambassador just walked past me and said, "I'm Mr. Verma, who's the ambassador of the United States of America, and lovely knowing you, and I hope that we can meet up soon." And I felt that, these are some of the formalities that dignitaries that hold this kind of position normally get into, and I forgot about it. But within a week, I had a letter from him saying, "You remember we met at Rashtrapati Bhavan, and we are looking at doing something towards tuberculosis in India, and would you be kind enough to entertain or be joining this effort?" And I readily agreed. We then had several meetings, Ambassador, if you remember. We met in Mumbai at a joint conference with the government officials, with dignitaries like Ratan Tata, and we talked about tuberculosis and what we can do towards its eradication. The ambassador then very kindly had a function, an event at his residence, the ambassador's residence in New Delhi, where we invited several TB survivors, and we heard their stories, and we introduced, well, not just to the country, but to the entire world, the kind of efforts that we were making towards this cause. And I must say that the kind of dedication, Ambassador, that you've shown and your government has shown is truly remarkable. And I hope that we can continue this association.
Absolutely.
And work towards making India TB-free. Many of you may not know, but India is the largest carrier of tuberculosis in the entire world. And that's embarrassing. And therefore, when I heard of this, I immediately said yes, because perhaps many of you are not aware, but I am a TB survivor. And I've said this many times. In the year 2000, when I was hosting KBC, I used to get excruciating pain in the spine, and I used to survive those episodes by taking 8 or 9 painkillers every day, until around 2002, on a general investigation, it was discovered that I had tuberculosis of the spine. And I felt, and I say this with a lot of immodesty, that if it can happen to me, it can happen to anyone. Normally it is associated with people who live in lesser means and an environment which is probably not clean enough. But we, by the grace of God, have the opportunity and the facilities to live in cleaner environments and lead a fairly decent life, but it can happen. And the main point that we decided was that if you were able to detect it in time, then there is a cure. And I was a living example of that. I was detected with tuberculosis. I took the medication, and within a year's time, I was completely free. And I'm able to sit in front of you and talk to you about it because I no longer have that. I shared this with the ambassador. The ambassador had his own wonderful stories to say. And I was very impressed, Ambassador, when you invited some of the ladies who had been affected by this terrible disease and who'd been through socially being, almost put aside, just because of the fact that they were carrying tuberculosis, but they fought that. They fought the disease. They fought the social stigma that they had to go through, and were actually now working with other TB infected people to eradicate this cause. Wonderful stories. So
They
maybe
told,
Ambassador, you could.
they told some heroic stories,
Yes.
and the fact that you were also there to lend your name and support gave them a lot of confidence and a lot of courage. So I just wanted to thank you for your leadership and everything that you've done on this issue, not only with us but over the years. I know you have a lot of causes and campaigns that you could put your name to, but the fact that you've been working on this and that you decided to partner with us has been tremendous. And I remember one thing you said to me, you said, I will do this, but it's got to be real, and we've got to produce results, and we've got to actually show people that we're doing something. And over the last couple of years, we have done a lot. I think hearing from those survivors was a big part of it. We were proud to give you this award.
Thank you so much. I'm very honored
tonight for your leadership, for everything that you've done. You did mention, I just want to say that the U.S. government has been working closely with the Indian government for over 20 years on this issue. We've put in over $100 million. We've treated 15 million people with our Indian partners, saved millions of lives from TB and the scourge that it presents this country. And you said it, 25% of the global TB burden is right here in India, 2.5 million cases every year. So we have our USAID, Centers for Disease Control, National Institutes of Health, all working across the country at the national level, at the state level, working on innovative ways to treat people, to diagnose people, to lift this stigma. And that's why we were so interested in partnering with you, because if people hear your voice and they understand that this happened to you, they can too come out of the shadows and get treated.
Many in the medical profession felt that, they were embarrassed that I had to talk about my ailment. But I felt that, if I could be an example for the disease and tell them that, it is curable, I would do that. I do this for hepatitis B as well, because I'm a hepatitis B survivor. But I just felt that it was helping the cause. When you have somebody personally talking about his experiences, much like those ladies that we met at your residence in New Delhi.
That's right.
It's very inspirational. Right. You want to suddenly get up and want to do more.
Right.
And that's what really motivated me to be attached to something like this.
So it was interesting, we heard in those stories that they were scared, one, to go to the doctor. They were scared to tell their family or their friends once they went to the doctor and actually got the diagnosis, and they were scared and uncertain about the course of treatment and whether it would work. And you said it exactly right, that they are now advocates because they've seen that they can get treated. The stigma can be something that can be prevented or eliminated, and with the proper treatment, with the proper course, this is a disease that's beatable. And so we call this campaign, along with the government of India, a campaign to end tuberculosis in India, because it is curable, it is beatable.
Yes, yes. Why I particularly like the women coming and talking about it is because there's always this stigma, unfortunately, in most parts of rural India and middle India, where some kind of alienation takes place, amongst the community. And if it's a woman or if it's a lady, they get shunned away from society, and that's terrible.
Yes.
And so it worked in conjunction with wanting to save the girl child, work for work for women empowerment in a sense, and also to tell them that if they are suffering from a disease, they don't need to be shunned or put away from society. They need to be cured and made acceptable and be part of the family, not just be discriminated against.
That's right. No, and unfortunately, this disease still kills 1,000 people a day, over 1,000 people a day, just right here in India. So it's very serious, but there is a hopeful path forward, and the government has done some really creative things. We've been, again, very excited to partner with them. We have some new program that we launched in particularly these urban, lower income areas where this cross-section of disease exists, and people are more vulnerable and more susceptible to TB. And so we've been focused on urban centers, but we also have been trying to make sure people get to a doctor and to a clinic, because oftentimes, if they don't get to a doctor, they're prescribed something by someone who may not understand TB. And if they take the wrong medicine for too long, they become drug resistant once they actually show up at the clinic. And so our ability to treat and beat TB is about 75% when they're on a proper course of treatment. But if someone is drug resistant, that goes down to about 50%. So we want to make sure people don't end up in a drug resistant state. That means getting out to the clinics, getting to the doctor, getting the proper course of treatment.
So if there are people listening on to this and wondering how they should behave if they were to find someone having, say, a cough for an extended period of time, it's not just a normal flu or a cold. Just go to a doctor and let them do a proper examination. And it's quite possible that if they do proper x-rays, they will be able to discover that it's not just a common cold, it could be tuberculosis. And you catch the disease in time and do the treatment, and you come out another healthy human being, just like me.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. So I was just wondering, Ambassador, if some of the people that are listening to this Facebook program are interested in asking some questions, we'd be more than happy to answer them. Is something coming from there, or do we just take it from here?
Right.
Okay, so this is a question from Ashwini Burate or Burat. After completion of full medicines, the full medicine course and full recovery, is there any chance of tuberculosis attacking them again? The answer to this is probably not, but probably yes. If your system is weak and is not tuned enough after you've done the treatment, then there is a possibility that it could recur. So the point that I'm trying to make here is, Ambassador, that after getting the treatment, they need to look after their system. Live properly, eat properly, lead a healthier life, and not allow your system to be weak enough to allow tuberculosis to come in.
Right. Some people can get reinfected.
Yes.
And also there is kind of residual, some people don't beat it completely the first time, and they may not know. That's why taking the full course of treatment, making sure you're seeing your medical provider regularly to make sure that, as you point out, that you're strong and in a healthy condition.
Your own system has to be resistant to any further recurrence of the disease. And for that, yes, as you rightly said, you need to keep visiting the doctor again and again on a regular basis, 3 months, 6 months, or yearly, because they would be able to detect if a recurrence is happening, and they would put you onto treatment right away. But to answer this question, in all honesty, I hope that it never reoccurs. But if you feel that the symptoms are coming on, please do visit your medical practitioner, take his advice, and he will guide you. And of course, eat well, live a healthy life, live in healthy environments, and these are some of the precautions that you need to take. There's a related question from Taruna Dua. If a person suffered from tuberculosis for 2 years or 2 years back, is there any chance of recurrence? Please suggest precautions. So I think more or less, I'll just answer this in Hindi, just so that some of our listeners who are not too conversant with the English language. देखिए, ऐसा हो सकता है कि एक बार आपको अगर ट्यूबरकुलोसिस या टीबी हो और उसका आप इलाज करें और उसके आपको छुटकारा मिल सकता है, लेकिन ये हो सकता है कि वो दोबारा आपके पास आ जाए. इसके लिए ये बहुत कम होता है ऐसे, लेकिन अगर आपको ज़रा भी ऐसे लक्षण लगे कि आपको ऐसा लग रहा है कि ये वापस आ रहा है, तो आप अपने डॉक्टर के पास जाइए, उनसे आप जांच करवाइए और वो आपको बता देंगे. और दूसरी बात ये है कि ट्यूबरकुलोसिस एक बार आपके शरीर से निकल गया तो अपने शरीर को आप स्वस्थ रखें. भोजन वगैरह, खाना पीना, जिस तरह से आप रहते हैं, जिस घर में रहते हैं आप, साफ़ सुथरे उसको रखें, तो हो सकता है कि ऐसे लक्षण जो है वो दोबारा आपके पास नहीं आएंगे. लेकिन अगर ऐसा संभव नहीं है और आपको लगे कि ये फिर से हो रहा है, तो आपको रेगुलरली हर 3 महीने 6 महीने साल भर आप अपने डॉक्टर के पास जाएं, जांच करवाते रहें और आपको थोड़ी सी तसल्ली मिलेगी कि हाँ मैं अब इससे मुक्ति मिल गई मुझे ट्यूबरकुलोसिस से और मुझे वापस जाने की ज़रूरत नहीं. So the point I'm trying to make is what we just discussed in English, that they need to keep going back for rechecks. Yes, there is a possibility, very short and very small percentage, but yes, there is, to answer it very honestly. The next question is from Rahul Saharan, and this is for Ambassador Yu.
Okay. I'm happy to.
Yeah, sure.
It says India has the largest number of TB cases in the world, more than a quarter of the global TB and multi-drug resistant burden. Each year, more than 2 million people in India get TB, and more than 220,000 people die from it. What is the reason for this fearful situation? How can we combat it? So the reason, is complicated, but obviously, a lot of people don't have access to medical provider. A lot of people live in densely populated urban areas. Where the disease can get spread fairly quickly. It's said that if someone has tuberculosis and they don't know it, they can spread it to 10 or 15 people quite easily, very, very quickly. And you can imagine how rapidly that can then
A
occur.
closed room or a closed atmosphere sometimes is, बंद कमरे में हैं आप और या ऐसे आप घर के अंदर हैं जहाँ सब कुछ बंद है और उस कमरे में अगर कोई एक कैरियर है टीबी का तो उससे आपको हो सकता है.
And then in some of the rural areas, trying to get proper medical treatment is challenging. And that, again, I'm happy to report, is something that's changing. And we've seen the government of India, and we've been happy to support these efforts, actually go out and be able to provide more instant testing, more accurate testing in rural places, but also get into some of the urban centers. And again, back to this campaign, just build the awareness. And build the awareness. So if you're feeling sick, if you're feeling like you have a chronic cough, for example, that you don't ignore it. And so by building the awareness, by getting the treatment, by getting the access to the medication, that's how we can take, as the questioner said, the fearful situation and turn it into something that's beatable. But those are some of the reasons why it exists in these numbers here in India.
मैं जो एम्बेसडर ने कहा वो आपको हिंदी में बताना चाहूँगा कि बहुत से ऐसे गांव के लोग हैं या छोटे शहरों में जहाँ पर लोग ऐसी जगह पर रहते हैं जहाँ पर थोड़ी सी गंदगी हो या बहुत सारे लोग एक ही जगह इकट्ठा हों. अगर ऐसा वातावरण है तो ये ट्यूबरकुलोसिस की जो डिजीज़ है ये फैल सकती है. लेकिन अगर आपको लगे कि आपकी खांसी जो है वो कई दिनों से चल रही है और ख़त्म नहीं हो रही है तो ये ज़रूरी नहीं है कि आपको ज़ुकाम हो गया है या सर्दी है या कुछ ऐसा है. ये भी हो सकता है कि आपको ट्यूबरकुलोसिस है. और अगर आपके मन में ज़रा भी संदेह हो, कोई भी डाउट हो, आप अपने डॉक्टर के पास जाइए और उनसे आप पूछिए, जांच करवाइए, वो आपको बता देंगे. और अगर सही समय पर आपने उसकी जांच करवाई तो हो सकता है और होना भी चाहिए कि आपका इलाज हो सकता है और आप टीबी से आपको मुक्ति मिल सकती है. Move on to the next one. 99 Dots program.
Yeah, I can tell you a little bit about this. This is a jointly supported program between USAID and the Gates Foundation, and it's a very creative program that when someone is taking their medication and they push the pill through the back of the medicine packet, there is a toll-free number that they call so that the person on the other end of the line can record that they actually took the medication on that day and that they are keeping track of their treatment. So it's actually a very simple way, but a very innovative way to make sure that people are staying with the course of treatment. And if we're not receiving those calls, we can go out and talk to people and say, look, you were prescribed the medication. Why aren't you taking it? Is there some problem? Are you having some adverse effects? And we can get exactly to the root of the problem.
So I just want to understand this.
Yeah.
The medication pack, the medicine carrier, has what?
Has a phone number.
Has a phone number.
And
you are supposed to call them every time you
correct.
You take your dosage.
That's it. And it's a simple tracking mechanism to make sure people are actually taking the medication, because again, that is one of the big challenges, is having people actually stay with the course of
I think this needs to be explained to them. देखिए, ये जो दवाई है ट्यूबरकुलोसिस की, ये जिस पैकेट में आती है उसमें एक टोल फ्री नंबर भी है। जब भी आपका इलाज शुरू हुआ, आपने अपनी दवाई लेनी शुरू की, हर बार आप दवाई लें, उस टोल फ्री नंबर पे फ़ोन करके आप कह दें ये मेरा नाम है और मैंने अभी अभी एक डोज लिया है। तो ये एक संस्था है जो इस सब जितनी भी आप सूचना देंगे इसको एकत्र करती है और ये मॉनिटर करती रहती है कि कहाँ पर हैं आप, क्या हुआ क्या नहीं हुआ। और यदि आपने किसी दिन अपनी दवाई न ली हो तो वो आपको फ़ोन करके बताएंगे कि आपने अपनी दवाई नहीं ली, क्योंकि उनको आपका फ़ोन नहीं गया या आपने एक अपनी गोली खा ली है। तो ये एक बहुत ही अच्छा तरीका है जो कि बनाया गया है अब मेडिकेशन के ऊपर इन बोतलों में, कि जब जब आपने अपना डोसेज लिया वहाँ टोल फ्री नंबर पे फ़ोन किया, वो आपको सूचना आपने दे दी, वो आपका रिकॉर्ड रखेंगे और वो आपको बताते जाएंगे। तो ये ज़रूरी नहीं है कि आप हर बार जो है डॉक्टर के पास जाएं या कोई आपको याद दिलाए या कुछ करे। इस टोल फ्री नंबर पे आप फ़ोन कीजिए, वो आपको बताते रहेंगे कि आपने आज दवाई नहीं ली, आज ये कीजिए, आज ऐसा कीजिए। तो ये बहुत अच्छी सुविधा एक आ गई है, जो कि अब जितने भी ट्यूबरकुलोसिस जो दवाइयाँ हैं उसके पैक में एक टोल फ्री नंबर आता है। Great, we can move on to the next one.
Indian youth.
How can Indian youth play a role in making this campaign successful? Okay, what do you feel, Ambassador, about that?
Well, when I look around the country and I see that 2/3 of the population is under the age of 30 or 35, I mean, it's incredible. There's an incredible youth dividend and a lot of excitement here, and people are yearning to go out and solve these kinds of medical and social and economic problems. So the youth are going to be, I think, part of the big driver of a solution, because they are also going to help take away the stigma. They're going to bring education into their communities and families about this disease, and they're going to bring in education about how beatable this disease is. And so I think, look, the youth is a huge part of awareness, education, and making sure people get the proper treatment.
एम्बेसडर कह रहे थे कि नौजवान पीढ़ी जो है, वो जैसा कि आपने कई बार सुना भी होगा कई भाषणों में, कि तकरीबन 60-65% भारत की जो आबादी है वो 30 वर्ष की उम्र से नीचे। इतनी बड़ी नौजवान पीढ़ी विश्व भर में कहीं नहीं है, और यही पीढ़ी जो है ये देश को, समाज को आगे ले जाने वाली है। मेरा ऐसा मानना है कि भारत में जितनी भी नौजवान पीढ़ी है वो बहुत ही सक्षम है, बहुत ही गुणी है, बहुत ही ज्ञानी है। और जो कुछ भी मैं अपने इर्द गिर्द देखता हूँ वो देखता हूँ कि जितने समस्याओं का संविधान हो रहा है या समस्या का इसको हटाया जा रहा है, या कोई नई चीज़ जो है वो उसका आविष्कार हो रहा है, या कोई नई सोच है, वो सारी की सारी चीज़ें जो हैं वो नौजवान पीढ़ी से आ रही हैं। आप चाहे business models today just being run by youngsters,
Right.
Who's with startup industries, and they just overnight they're so intelligently designing their business programs. तो मेरा ऐसा मानना है कि ये नौजवान पीढ़ी जो है यही देश को आगे ले जाएगी। और ट्यूबरकुलोसिस में भी मेरी आपसे हाथ जोड़कर प्रार्थना है कि अगर आपको हमारे इस कार्यक्रम से, जहां हम लोग बात कर रहे हैं और आपको थोड़ी बहुत जानकारी मिल रही है ट्यूबरकुलोसिस के बारे में, अगर आप अपने व्यक्तिगत तौर पे भी अपने पड़ोसी को ही बताते हैं या 2-4 मित्रों को बताते हैं, और वो अगर 2-4 मित्रों को और बताएं, तो इस तरह बात फैलेगी। Just trying to tell them that if the youth are so prevalent in today's India, it would be lovely for them to, if they've heard this program of ours, to gather all this knowledge and just pass it on to their neighbor, for example, and then he passes it on to another 2 or 3 people or to their friends. And even if they start talking amongst themselves, it helps a lot in propagating what we are here for, to tell you that be conscious of the fact that this is something that can be cured if it is detected in time. And the statistics that we've spoken of, बहुत भारी संख्या है, इसको हमें कम करना है। 8 साल हमने परिश्रम किया पोलियो के लिए। यूनाइटेड नेशंस ने हमें एम्बेसडर बनाया था पोलियो के लिए, और 8 साल हमने परिश्रम किया, और आज भारतवर्ष जो है वो पोलियो मुक्त हो गया है। तो मेरी ऐसी धारणा है कि अगर हम लोग मिल करके काम करेंगे तो भारत को टीबी मुक्त करवा देंगे। I just told them that we can since we worked with United Nations to get India a polio-free nation, we can work towards making India tuberculosis-free as well.
Absolutely.
All right, we go on to the next one. And this is already done. Oh, yeah. What is the most touching and poignant part of this campaign that you would like to share with everyone? You know, Ambassador, I was really touched by those ladies that you invited to your residence in New Delhi, and for them to be able to come and speak about what they went through. एम्बेसडर ने अपने निवास स्थान दिल्ली में एक कार्यक्रम रखा था जहाँ पर उन्होंने बहुत सी ऐसी महिलाओं को बुलाया जो कि पीड़ित थी ट्यूबरकुलोसिस से, और उन्होंने आकर के अपनी कथा बताई और मुझे कष्ट हुआ सुन करके. I was deeply moved by their stories, but also very proud of the fact that they had the strength and the courage to come and talk about it and become almost an example to many other women in the country. उन्होंने कहा कि समाज से उनको एक तरह से निकाल दिया गया था क्योंकि वो पीड़ित थे ट्यूबरकुलोसिस से, और क्योंकि वो महिला थी इसलिए उनको समाज से निकाल दिया गया. लेकिन वो उसके साथ लड़ी, अपनी बीमारी के साथ लड़ी, अपना इलाज करवाया. आज वो स्वस्थ हो गई हैं, और न केवल स्वस्थ हो गई हैं, वो औरों के लिए भी काम कर रही हैं. They are working for tuberculosis in many other regions and trying to spread this campaign to as many people as possible. I think that was some of the most poignant stories that I heard.
Yeah.
Because some of their stories were heartbreaking.
Yes.
You know, to be turned out of the house just because you're discriminated against because you're carrying a disease, even though you're part of the family.
Yeah.
And this happens a lot with married women. Unfortunately, we have this terrible social stigma about, once the bride comes into the home, she has to be absolutely perfect. It's impossible for that to happen. But yes, even if she has a few problems, why can't she be looked at as a member of the family rather than be, discriminated against, thrown out, and said, we don't know you. Just because you happen to come from another house into this home doesn't mean that you don't belong to the family.
Yeah.
But really, a lot of credit to these women who, despite the fact that they were thrown out of these families, discriminated against, they fought this disease on their own strength, and now are actually propagating the cause of this campaign to other victims. I thought that was...
No, you said it perfectly,
Yeah.
and they were role models for all of us.
Yeah.
The only other group I want to call out are the healthcare workers.
Oh yes, I'm glad you brought it up because I was going to talk about it as well.
And the folks that are out each day,
Yeah.
knocking on doors, checking in on people. So there's the doctors, the nurses, but then there's a whole group of people, really an army of people that are out each day in social work centers, again, walking long distances to try to make sure that people are getting the treatment and the respect that they deserve.
Yeah.
And they deserve a special mention.
Yeah. You see, we can sit here and talk to you. I can do a million campaigns in front of a camera, but how is it executed? That is the real problem. And the solution comes from these workers that go out into very difficult terrains all over the country, propagating the cause, finding out where the disease is, finding out patients, advocating to them that this can be cured, and doing this kind of manual labor, which is under very extenuating circumstances. So I really want to give full credit to them. We honor you. And when we did the polio campaign, Ambassador, and we had a function to celebrate, I asked them, don't celebrate it with us, celebrate it with the workers, because they are the people that actually went out into the interiors in very difficult terrain and conditions, and they had to face a lot of rejection many a times. And it's very difficult for them to try and convince a family or a victim that they need a cure, and we are here to help you rather than put you to some discomfort. So I really want to thank all the workers, और जितने भी लोग ये जो कर्मचारी हैं जो जाते हैं गांव-गांव में ट्यूबरकुलोसिस के बारे में बात करने, उनको मैं शत-शत प्रणाम करता हूँ. बहुत ही धैर्य का, बहुत ही अद्भुत काम कर रहे हैं आप, और हम आपको प्रणाम करते हैं, और इसी तरह आप काम करते रहिए, क्योंकि आपका ही योगदान जो है वो भारत को टीबी से मुक्ति देगा. Okay. We have Amit Nagpal, who says a lot of complimentary things to me, which we don't want to read now.
We agree with all of it.
Oh, he's asking me how I fought all these illnesses, and where do you find the spirit? Look, it's very difficult to talk about the fact of how do you manage it. It's just that something that if you have an ailment, I've always felt that I rely more on the medical profession. I submit myself to them, and I say, whatever you need to do, I will follow you. So if my stomach needs to be cut open and if I need to take some medication, I will submit to that. What I do after that is to try and recover my condition as to before getting into hospital or before submitting myself. And yes, that requires a certain amount of willpower, certain amount of determination. Okay, your cause can be different. My reason for doing that was because I'm a professional and I need to get back to work. I need to get back in front of the cameras. I need a job. And therefore, in order to get that job, I need to be physically fit. And therefore, I needed to get back into shape. But there may be many other people who are not perhaps having the same problems as I do or the same ambitions that I do. But the fact is that बीमारी से पहले जो आपकी कंडीशन थी, उस कंडीशन में आपको अपने आप को वापस लाना है. ठीक है, आप ठीक ठाक थे, आपको बीमारी हो गई, होता है, सबको होता है ये. आपने इलाज करवाया, आप स्वस्थ हो गए, उसके बाद आप अपने आप को उस दिशा में ले आए जब बीमारी से पहले आप थे, उस दिशा में आप ले. और ये एक ध्येय होना चाहिए आपका. इसके लिए थोड़ा सा विल पावर चाहिए. और जैसे कि मैंने कहा, कोशिश करते रहिए, कहीं ना कहीं आपको आपकी मंजिल आपको मिल ही जाएगी. I just said, you have to keep trying. And to get yourself back into the state you were in before you fell in.
Right.
And that should be your kind of motive or your ambition to get back into the same physical state as when you develop this disease. Question from Anshu Rastogi, Is something being done for MDR tuberculosis as these cases are on the rise lately?
Yeah.
Lester, would you like to?
Yeah, sure. And hats off to the government of India for the job that they're doing in tackling MDR cases, this multi-drug
Maybe
resistant
you'd like to
cases.
explain what MDR is.
Sure. So we talked a little bit about it. It's when the treatment that the patient receives doesn't work. The drugs have a certain resistance. The patient has a resistance to the drugs. And there are different reasons for that, but sometimes it is because the patient was given the wrong the wrong treatment,
Medication,
wrong medication. That builds up a certain resistance, which is why we've talked about this need to get to a real healthcare provider who can provide the right diagnosis and get you on the right course of treatment. And but look, even in the multi-drug resistant cases, there is still a treatment. It is a bit more difficult, but it still can work. And so we want to bring down the incidence of multi-drug resistant cases because it certainly is harder to treat somebody once they are in that resistant category.
Yeah. मैं आपको समझाना चाहता हूँ कि कई बार ऐसा होता है कि आपको ट्यूबरकुलोसिस हुआ, आपने इलाज शुरू किया, दवाई लेना शुरू किया और आपने देखा कि उसका कुछ इलाज का कुछ फ़ायदा नहीं हो रहा. कई बार ऐसा होता है कि जो दवाई आप ले रहे हैं वो इतनी ज़्यादा संख्या में जाने के बाद भी आपको अगर सुविधा नहीं आ रही है तो आपके शरीर के अंदर एक कुछ ऐसा यंत्र है जो उस ड्रग से लड़ रहा है और उससे आपको फ़ायदा देने से आपको रोक रहा है. उसे कहते हैं मल्टी ड्रग रेजिस्टेंस सिंड्रोम. लेकिन अच्छी बात यह है कि इसके होने के बावजूद भी MDR उसे कहते हैं मल्टी ड्रग रेजिस्टेंट, उसका भी इलाज है. अगर पता चल जाए कि आप इतने महीनों से आप ये ले रहे हैं, आपको सुविधा नहीं मिली है, तो एक मल्टी ड्रग रेजिस्टेंट भी इलाज है जो कि उसका इलाज कर सकता है. कई बार होता है कि गलत दवाइयाँ दे दी जाती हैं. आप गए थे ट्यूबरकुलोसिस के लिए, आपको दवाई दे दी किसी और चीज़ के लिए और उससे क्या हुआ कि न तो आपका जिस बीमारी जो ट्यूबरकुलोसिस थी वो ठीक हुई, लेकिन ट्यूबरकुलोसिस से रेजिस्टेंस हो गया आपको. वो ट्यूबरकुलोसिस जो है वो जो दूसरी दवाई आप ले रहे थे उससे टक्कर में आ गई और उससे ट्यूबरकुलोसिस और बढ़ गया. तो कई बार ऐसा होता है. इसलिए आपसे निवेदन है कि आप सही डॉक्टर के पास जाएं, सही हेल्थ केयर सेंटर के पास जाएं और सही सोच, सही विचार जो है उनसे आप ज्ञान लें, क्योंकि कई बहुत सी ऐसी बातें हैं जो कि अगर आप किसी छोटी मोटी जगह पर चले जाएंगे और कहेंगे कि साहब मैं आपकी ठीक कर देता हूँ, ये करता हूँ, कभी कभी वो कामयाब नहीं हो पाते। इसलिए आप सही जगह पर जाएं। सरकार के देखिए, गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया के बहुत से ऐसे हेल्थ सेंटर्स हैं जहाँ पर इसका ज्ञान मिल रहा है, और वहाँ जाएं और जांच करवाएं, उसकी पूछताछ करवाएं। तो इसका विद आई एम जस्ट टेलिंग देम दैट दे शुड गो टू दीज हेल्थ सेंटर्स एंड गेट अ प्रॉपर इन्वेस्टिगेशन डन because of the fact that you may be a multi-drug resistant patient.
That's right.
Okay. इसके ऊपर मैंने अपने जो हमारे फैमिली डॉक्टर हैं उनसे भी मैंने अभी बात की. I'm just trying to tell them about how research is going on, because I think one of the questions that came was, is there any research that was going on? दोनों चीज़ें हैं. एक तो भारत में सबसे ज़्यादा संख्या में ट्यूबरकुलोसिस है, लेकिन दूसरी बात यह है कि जितने भी मेडिकल प्रोफेशन के डॉक्टर्स हैं उनको एक अपॉर्चुनिटी मिलती है, एक समय मिलता है कि वो जितने भी पेशेंट्स हैं इलाज के दौरान उनकी जांच करते करते वो अपना रिसर्च भी कर सकते हैं. तो रिसर्च में ये होता है कि स्पूटम, जो थूक होती है इंसान की, वो निकालते हैं किसी भी इंसान से, और उसके अंदर वो बाहर से लेबोरेटरी में ट्यूबरकुलोसिस के जो वायरस है वो उसको इंजेक्ट करते हैं उसमें. फिर उसमें टीबी जो है वो उगता है. ये लेबोरेटरी के अंदर उगाया जाता है ट्यूबरकुलोसिस. फिर वो जब उग जाता है ट्यूबरकुलोसिस, ये एक एक्चुअली इट्स अ फिजिकल फिनोमेना, द थिंग ग्रोज. उसके ऊपर फिर वो इलाज का जो इंजेक्शन, जो वैक्सीन या जो भी है उसमें वो डालते हैं, ये देखने के लिए कि कौन सा इंजेक्शन, कौन सा वैक्सीन इसको ठीक कर रहा है. तो इस रिसर्च की जो एक भूमिका निकलती है, उसके बाद फिर वो मेडिकेशन प्रिस्क्राइब करते हैं और इलाज में उसको लगाते हैं. सो बेसिकली व्हाट दे डू इज दे टेक स्पूटम एंड दे इंजेक्ट इट विद ट्यूबरकुलोसिस, दे ग्रो इट इन अ लेबोरेटरी, and then they inject it with different kinds of drugs and find out which drug is working, which is resistant.
Right.
And so they have a research paper, and therefore when a patient comes with some one of these ailments, they have the research and the documentation, the expertise to administer the right drug, either way, either for tuberculosis or for MDR.
No, you're exactly right, and that's why we're so proud of the work that National Institutes of Health, Center for Disease Control, and USAID are doing exactly that with our Indian partners, and they're doing groundbreaking work.
Great, great. That's wonderful. Are there any more questions left? Yes. Bhagavati Hariharan. Oh, hang on. There's somebody else before that. Sara Peracha. Respected sir, salam to you. Would you ever like to do a movie or drama on this issue to highlight the difficulties of a tuberculosis patient? Okay. Yes, I would love to do it. But I think that rather than make a film out of it where I'm pretending to be a tuberculosis patient, I would rather come in front of the camera and tell you that I am a TB survivor. And I think that is more forceful and more important and more strong than making a film about it. In the early years, in the 40s and the 50s, Indian cinema has always, like most cinemas, we sometimes have stories that deal with diseases. So in the 30s and 40s and the 50s, tuberculosis was so prominent. The leading man would be suffering from tuberculosis. Then from there we shifted to cancer. From cancer we shifted to HIV. And from HIV, I don't know what the hell we're going to be shifting to, but these are the kind of diseases that the leading men would deal with. अगर आपने फिल्म देवदास देखी हो, उसमें दिलीप साहब जिन्होंने देवदास की भूमिका निभाई थी, उनको ट्यूबरकुलोसिस था. और तो इस तरह से प्राथमिकता दी गई थी हमारे फिल्म के द्वारा. लेकिन हमें बड़ी एक तरह से दुख भी होता है कि हमें बार बार ये डिजीज़ दिखानी पड़ती है. और लेकिन एक तरह से मैं ये सोचता हूँ कि ट्यूबरकुलोसिस जो है वो अब पुरानी बात हो गई, एक नई बीमारी आई है, इसका इलाज कैसे होगा. एंड वेरी हैप्पी टू से दैट इवन दो we depicted characters suffering from tuberculosis in our films, we moved on to cancer. I mean, it's a terrible term to use, but we're trying to say that that we found a cure for, Now this is a more dangerous element,
Right.
and we're hoping to find a cure for this. And we have partially or almost succeeded in dealing with cancer. And now we hear news about, injections, vaccines, and medication for HIV patients. So that's how, cinema moves. Stories are developed at what's happening in society. समाज में जो हो रहा है उसके बारे में कहानियाँ बनती हैं. पहले जो विलन होता था वो उसको जमींदारी बोलते थे क्योंकि वो लैंड ग्रैबर था. फिर उसके बाद after independence, we felt that the dacoit is the villain and therefore he must be got rid of. Then we moved on to the underworld and said they are the villains. Then we moved on to politics and politicians. So these are stories that are made, but the main point is that are we able to defeat that?
Right.
And that what comes out in the end of most of our films.
Yeah. Well, I think it'd be a very good movie when this is beaten.
Yeah.
And you can make the film that talks about this as something in history.
Oh yes, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I've done a few films where I had a tumor in the brain. In one of them, I had Alzheimer's in a film called Black. Black में मुझे Alzheimer's था. फिर वो धीरे धीरे ठीक तो नहीं हुआ लेकिन बताया कि क्या होता है. ट्यूबरकुलोसिस के बारे में मैं जैसे कि मैंने कहा मैं फिल्म नहीं करना चाहूँगा. मैं कैमरा के सामने आके कहना चाहूँगा कि मैं एक ट्यूबरकुलोसिस सर्वाइवर हूँ. मुझे ट्यूबरकुलोसिस हुआ था. मैंने इलाज करवाया. मैं ठीक हो गया हूँ. इससे बेहतर फिल्म और क्या हो सकती है मेरे अनुमान से. I just feel that it's stronger for me to come in front of the camera and say, rather than make a film about it, and ask you to spend a lot of money to go to a multiplex and see me suffering from tuberculosis. Yeah. Bhagwati Hariharan. Eradicating TB in India is a very big project, though not impossible. I have worked among TB patients as a clinical microbiologist many years before. Multi-drug resistant TB is a curse on society. Many patients would then tell me, इतने दवा लेने से अच्छा मैं मर ही जाता. Oh gosh. I still remember all those faces. I do realize medicines were not easily available to the economically poor, even though government had provisions to supply medicines for the poor. A strong program to create awareness and an effective sanitary practice is mandatory. So he's talking about one of the patients who had continuously, gone under medication, took a lot of medicines, and got fed up and frustrated and said, it was better to have died rather than have to go through this. But that's a terrible thing to say. ईश्वर करे आप मरे ना और आपका इलाज हो सकता है. और जैसा कि ये भागवती जी ने कहा है कि सरकार के बहुत से ऐसे हेल्थ सेंटर्स हैं जहाँ पर जाकर के आप इलाज करवा सकते हैं. जिन लोगों के पास सुविधा नहीं है और उनके पास धनराशि नहीं है कि उसका इलाज करवा सकें, सरकार भी इस ओर अपनी निगरानी रखती है. There are many programs now that are actually financially helping the poor, and of course all credit to the United States government for putting in this large amount of money towards the eradication of TB. And one of them could be in the utilization of how to take care of those that are economically poor. We cannot obviously be responsible for how this is spread out or how this is distributed, but I'm certain that if you were to go to government institutions, government healthcares, they would have some kind of solution for you, for the economically poor.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right, and I would just congratulate the government of India on the enormous progress that they've made. And I've been to a number of the clinics and centers in some of the urban areas, and there are programs available not just on drugs, but on counseling, on nutrition, on proper health, building up your strength. And so those programs are out there. Hopefully more will be available in the future, but I think the government's done a good job, and we'll continue to support those efforts.
Yeah. If you remember, Ambassador, one of the meetings that we had here in Mumbai, when we called heads of hospitals,
right.
Heads of ministries and governments that were going to look into this, a lot of them, volunteered to help out, and they are helping. Mr. Naresh Trehan has been very helpful.
Absolutely.
In the state of Haryana, we had a function where we initiated that van, if you remember, and we inaugurated that van. And one of the questions that some of them said that, we have collected this amount of funds and we are going to distribute this out. But really, we need to know that distribution process. The more I feel if you delegate that work, it diminishes the end result.
Right.
We never know what happens to that money. And therefore, is there a system where some monitoring can be done through an official body which finds out, these are the patients, they came because they were economically poor, this is the kind of funding that we gave them. Get them to respond to the fact that they actually received that financial help, rather than rely on a report given by somebody that has been delegated to do that,
Right.
because there could be corruption.
Right.
And if we talk to the patients, that would be a wonderful idea. So one of the things that we need to tell the workers that go out is that whenever they are in a position to give help to the economically poor, get a statement from them. Let them actually physically come and say it or write it and say that we are thankful, or whatever it is, that we got this economic help and we're very grateful. That way, it's not just that we want to look for credit, we want to make sure that the funds that are going out are reaching the right people and they're happy about it and profiting from it.
I think what you're talking about is also measuring the effectiveness of the programs.
Absolutely,
And
yes.
we've actually done a fair amount of that through national surveys of how the programs are actually being worked, again in partnership with our Government of India colleagues. It's so important to know what's working and what's not working. So that's actually taking place right now.
Okay, that's great. I think we've run out of all the questions. One of the other questions here, how do we ensure that the patients receive medications effectively? So the answer to that, Ambassador, is the drugs to combat TB are freely available. Various forms of support are required by patients to complete their full course of treatment, including counseling, nutrition, medical. ये सब बातें हम पहले भी कर चुके हैं. And I think we've covered almost all the ground that there needs to be covered. I guess we need to close this conversation in case you've got terribly bored with tuberculosis and talks about what to do with it. I want to thank you, Ambassador, for all the assistance that you and your government has given in this wonderful campaign. I hope that we can continue to work together and eradicate tuberculosis from India. I want to compliment your government for the support that it is giving and the kind of help cooperative help that they're doing along with the government of India in working towards this very noble cause.
It's been an amazing partnership, and we want to thank you in particular.
I'm always there
lending your voice.
in a very voluntary capacity. But if there is any kind of other questions that you may have, you may want to put it up on Facebook or send it to us, either to the embassy, to the ambassador, and you can send it to me on my Facebook or to my digital team. They will forward it to me and we can talk about it, we can answer it. आपको जवाब भी दे देंगे और हम उम्मीद करते हैं कि जो कुछ भी हमने आज यहाँ बातचीत की है उसका थोड़ा सा भी अगर असर हुआ होगा आपके ऊपर तो कहीं ना कहीं हम एक छोटा सा कदम आगे बढ़ाएंगे. We'll just take a very small step forward by this conversation. Even if we take a very small step forward, we've actually moved forward rather than moved back. So
it's been an amazing partnership, as I say, and for me it's been professionally rewarding and also personally something I didn't think I'd get the opportunity to work with you, having grown up. I think I've told you this story before.
Yes.
As a immigrant's kid, watching your films where our little community of Indian Americans had gathered in Pennsylvania, and seeing your movies up on the wall. So when I saw you that day at Rashtrapati Bhavan, and that was a great personal honor for me as well. And I'm wrapping up my tour here on January 20th, but I will always look back on these couple of years here in India. This will be one of the true highlights for me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. And I also would say this will remain a commitment of our government for the foreseeable future.
Thank you. Thank you very much.